On this episode, we're going to review three today. So the first one's going to be by Xtreme Pro Wrestling with Killafornia, which they're going to do a long day of who will be the crown the first ever King of the Death match. We also got, of course, Pro Wrestling Noah with the Majestics. As you know, I reviewed the Majestic with all the junior heavyweight competitors. Now we got the heavyweights involved as well, not just the junior heavyweights. And of course, we got AEW Dark Elevation with 5 matches. And also, we got some news updates regarding, I don't know how you guys feel about this, the resurface of Nash Carter now going back his own name, Zachary Wentz, and news about Rob Van Dam heading to Japan. So, let's get ready with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's go with Xtreme Pro Wrestling now. I have heard of this promotion before, but I sadly haven't got the chance to see certain pay-per-views. There were some that came around like last year, but I decided to do what's going on right now, which is their latest event that took place early in April, on the 9th of April to be exact, with Killafornia. Now, this particular show showcased the first ever King of the Death match. So basically, we have a tournament filled with wrestlers involved in death matches. But I must warn everybody, this show is about maybe close to 7 hours. So if you're planning to watch it on the Watch Pro Wrestling Live, then just letting you guys know, it's very long, but it's worth it. Now let's get with the beginning. Opening match, we have Silas Young versus Bo Cooper. Now Silas Young, as you know, he considers himself the last true man. As you know, he believes that wrestlers of today are nothing but wusses, cowards. They're not men. But of course, he thinks that death match is not wrestling. Now, I don't know if for some of you down in, for some of you who watch this channel, you probably say, I mean, wrestling is wrestling. Well, maybe so, but that it's everybody has opinion. But however, he thought that he had everything under control with Bo Cooper, which is his opponent for the night. But however, he actually got away with it once again, claiming he's the last true man by giving him a low blow. Ref did not see it coming one way or the other. It did give a whole meaning. Now, our next match, this is basically Tail Valkyrie taking on Camille Brickhouse. You may know her from NWA. This was a total insane match. I mean, these are two of the most popular wrestlers that many fans enjoy. I mean, you know Tail Valkyrie's reputation, and you know Camille, and it was great. But however, the match could have won in favor of Camille, but the ring announcer, who was doing the first two shows, decided to pull the referee away from that, causing too many times for her to pull him out, resulting in a no contest. So basically, nobody won. But yeah. Now, let's get in with the first rounds of the King of the Death match. we have Orn Vert taking on Vincent. Now, this match was crazy, but here's the best part. Orn Vert did exactly what fans wanted him to do, put Vincent through a table. Now, people were telling Vincent to do the same thing, but he's like, screw you, I do things my way. But, however, it was Orin who actually walked out as the victor onto um, Vincent when he brought in the thumbtacks. 1, 2, 3, it's over. Next up, we got the only female involved in this particular tournament, Sage Sin Supreme versus Sledge. Man, this match was like another version of David versus Goliath, but I did not anticipate this match. I mean, for they're saying that only one woman's involved. I mean, does that make her the queen of the death matches? I don't know, but it was interesting. However, she picked up a huge upset over Sledge to pick up the victory by pinning him. It was great. I have to say, it showed a lot of character with Sage to win. Next up, we got Juicy Finale taking on 440's member Eric Ryan. Now, many people would have assumed this would have been Juicy's Finale's win. I would agree, but if you look at Eric Ryan, he did not have his crew. He did not have any member from the 440 giving him the helping hand. But however, the way this match went down, he did everything on his own, and not to mention the ref. He went punches on him where the ref had no other choice but to call the match. I have to say, pure brilliance on this match. Next up, we have Dirty Ron, who I know personally. I met him and I interviewed him before. He's a local wrestler slash promoter here in San Diego, where I'm from. Taking on Schlank, I have to say, what a beautiful massacre of this match. I mean, Schlank was insane. But however, Schlank had a female fan helping him win. She was like right outside of the barrier, but somehow Schlank was able to pick up the victory by murderizing Dirty Ron and giving him the win on this one. Next up, everybody's favorite clown in Mexico, Pagano, taking on Shane Mercer. Man, another good match. I have to say was pretty good. Now, I would have assumed that one of those two were going to walk out. Now, I'm all for Pagano and Shane Mercer, but like the old saying goes, there can only be one, and that one person turned out to be Pagano with a pinfall. So he advanced into the second round. Next up, we got Necro Butcher taking on Hoof. Now, I don't know who the hell is Necro Butcher, but the dude wrestled barefoot, and we all know when it comes to death matches, they're like shards of glass everywhere. I'm like, oh my god, this guy is nuts. I did not anticipate it, but somehow he walked out as the victor when he put Hoodfoot down, and it was over right there. Next up, we have someone you guys may have heard of, Masada versus Lucky 13. Another classic match. You know, Masada, legendary in the death match. You know, we all, if you guys know who he was, he's been around the block, and I thought it was a pretty amazing match. I think this is one of the good ones here in the first round, but it was great. I enjoyed it, but it was Masada who walked out as the victor. Next up, we got Big Joe versus Terex. Now, I have seen Terex maybe once or twice here where I'm from. I would have assumed Terex was going to walk out, but Big Joe was the one who walked out as the victor when he put him down completely, pinning him 1, 2, 3. He advanced in the second round. Now let's get to the second rounds of the King of the Death match. We have Sage Sin Supreme versus Orin Vert. I have to say, another great match. I have to say, I'm becoming a fan. Or should I just say, getting on the bandwagon of Sage. You know what I mean? Sage is unbelievably amazing. I think she's someone I should definitely check out a lot. And she was the one who walked out as a victor, advancing in the semifinals. Next up, we got Schlonk versus Eric Ryan. Another interesting match. However, once again, the mystery woman gets involved and decides to help Schlonk. So, better luck next time, Eric. Next up, we got Big Joe versus Necro Butcher. Now, this was a match where it's like a desperation by Big Joe. Like, he wants to advance further as possible, but unfortunately, Necro looked more like he was about to pass out. I'm not sure. It was like crazy, but Big Joe walked out as the victor. And finally, we have Pagano versus Masada. Oh man, another classic match. Masada brought the screwards, and I'm like, dang, that's nuts. But it did give Masada the edge to win. He goes into the semifinals. Now our next match we have our semifinals we have Schlank versus Sage. I have to say Schlank was the one who took more the control of this particular match. Now he did not have any problems with the female fan who's been helping him. Basically, it was all clean, but Schlank won by a pinfall. Then finally, Masada, we had him with Big Joe. That's a pretty interesting match. I have to say, Masada really was someone I definitely could enjoy watching. He's one who I thought maybe there's a possibility could win King of the Death match, but it was him. Now, our main event in the finals of the King of Death match, it's a no rope barbed wire death match. We have Schlong and Masada. This match was nuts, crazy. There was a lot of toys brought upon, but however, the same girl who's been helping Schlong shows up. Schlong puts a table on fire and decides to burn Masada to give him the win, and he becomes the king of the death match. So basically, it's a title now. I'm like, okay, that's how it's gonna roll. So Schlong is now king of the death match. So we'll see what else he'll do as that, and hopefully there'll be more XPW that I can watch. But right now, I believe it's time for Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay, so we have Pro Wrestling Noah with Majestic that took place on the 30th of April in Ryogoku. Now, this is day two of Pro Wrestling Noah. They did had a previous Majestic event, but this one had the Noah Juniors in it. It was called Majestic and Innovations. It was a pretty good show. But however, in this one, not only we have the heavyweights involved, so are the junior heavyweights. Opening match, we have, of course, the juniors taking over. We have Alejandro teaming up with Yatsukata Yano, taking on Kai Fujimura and Slex. Now, Slex has been making good impression with the fan base, but however, he shown himself how much of a bigger star he is. But it was him who put Yano in a submission, forcing him to tap out completely, giving him the W for this one. Next up, we got Congo, consistent of Hajime Ohara, Tadasuke, and Manabu Soya to take on the members of Funky Express, Akitsushi, oh, Akitoshi Sato, Muhammad Yone, and King Tani. Now, the match was pretty good. I saw like the bit of the aggressive attitude with King Tani, truly desperately to win, but however, he came up short when Manabu Soya pinned him with the brainbuster and it was over. But he did state he wants to quit Funky Express and give up the king. But that's another conversation for another time. Next up, we got the rivalry between Los Perros and Mad and Stinger rages on. All five members. It's so insane. However, Nosawa Run Guy, who has deep hatred with Stinger, decided to kick right in the groin of Hayata. Doesn't care what he did. It was more like who runs the Noah Juniors, and that's always been the case. And frankly, Stinger does have all the junior heavyweight gold, but battles are currently done. As you know, I did mention that their profiles were removed from the roster, but this might have been their last show. Think that's it was, but But let's move on. We have Don Fuji taking on no Don Fuji and Masaaki Mochizuki from Dragon Gate taking on Katsushi Sakuraba and Kendo Kachi. Now these two guys were wearing these crazy masks that was worn in Cyberfight, and they were dressed the same. So they were playing little mind games with their opponents, with Fuji and Mochizuki. However, it was Sakuraba who picked up a strong victory onto Mochizuki with a submission hold. I thought it was pretty amazing that he won in that fashion. Now, as I mentioned before, we had a lot of the international wrestlers making their way back to Pro Wrestling Noah, and here are two of them who were part of Seigu Uragun. Rene Dupree, you may know him from La Resistance, the WWE faction, that tag team and faction that started. He teams up with Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. I have to say it was great. Their opponent is Daiki Inaba and Masato Tanaka, but I have to say Renee and Wagner Jr. Wagner, in my opinion, did not miss a step. I'm sure that they've been training their hardest. I know that Wagner Jr. has been training constantly in Mexico. I don't know about Rene Dupree, but it was great seeing them win this match, getting back to it. But that's not the end of it, but we'll get to that in a bit. Next up, we got Michael Elgin. You may know him as Big Mike, taking on Masa Kiyomiya. Now, I haven't heard or seen Michael Elgin not since the pandemic. If y'all recall, he was also amongst those wrestlers that was accused of allegations of during the speaking out movement. Um, he was let go by Impact, but I did not think he was going to go to New Pro Wrestling Noah. Some of you who may have seen him in New Japan's like, why did he's no longer there? Well, apparently he had issues toward there was a bit of a heat or beef between him and Jeff Cobb. That's the reason. But he has been to Pro Wrestling Noah before. When they were throwing that little storyline with Eddie Edwards because of the he wants to be Impact World Champion. That was the reason he went there. He competed, and now he's back. I mean, I don't know if that was the case, what was going on, but if he has to go to the Pro Wrestling Noah, then that's where he's gonna go. But he did an impressive match with Killafornia. I have to say it was great. I enjoyed every moment. He looks more like he was in good shape, but he did pick up a very strong victory on him. Now, our next match is for the GHC National Championship between Simon Gotch and Matsukatsu Funaki. This is a great match where it comes where these two guys have similar fighting styles like MMA, grappling, striking techniques, but it was Funaki who put Gotch in a submission, in a chokehold submission where he's out. He's out. So yeah, so Funaki retained his title. Now our next match, the juniors take over on this one. We have Extreme Tiger, Ninja Mac, Dragon Bane, and Alpha Wolf taking on the Noah Junior Regular Army consistent of Junta Kiyomiya, no Kimawaki, Atsushi Koroge, Yohei, and Daisuke Irada. I have to say it was a pretty awesome match. I enjoyed it. Not to mention, Ninja Mac has been a very highly impressed wrestler by the Noah fan base. And, I mentioned before, he actually got an exclusive working for a year, 1 year exclusive contract as their regular foreign talent. And I think he did more than that. There are other no events that I haven't witnessed yet, but I will get to those as soon as possible. See my take about Ninja Mac on this one. Now, but the match was great. Great spots, but it was Dragon Bane that picked up the victory for his team, and it was unbelievable. And I think the Noah Juniors or really want to bring them more. I mean, I definitely see they want to bring more of this type of energy into the match, and I think that's what draws me. Some people ask me like, what is my favorite thing about pro wrestling Noah? I have to say is the Noah Junior Heavyweight division. That one gets me on my attention on that because I understood why Misawa made it more interesting because there was the lack of credibility with the new junior heavyweight division in All Japan. But when he made it in All Japan, I mean in Pro Wrestling Noah, he changed the game on that, and that's what gets me to think about it. So anyway, yeah. Now our next match we have Kinya Okada and Yoshiki Inamura taking on Naomichi Marufuji and a mystery partner. Now, people can speculate who the mystery partner could be, but however, I did not anticipate this. The mystery partner is someone we all know who it is. Satoshi Kojima of New Japan. That's right. He was wearing the shirt of Noah, and I'm like, wow, it was great seeing him. I did not anticipate that, but it was great. But he was the one who picked up a strong victory with his infamous lariat, and it was done. 1, 2, 3. Good night. Now, our next match is the GHC Tag Team titles. We have Kongo, consistent of Katsuhiko Nakajima and Keno, taking on Sugiura, Hideki Suzuki, and Takashi Sugiura. I thought this match was insane and great because Kongo has always been one of the most strongest factions, and they're the type of faction that proves they are the real wrestlers. Everybody else is glitz and glamour and fake. And that's how it's always been. But however, it was Suzuki who picked up the victory by pinning Nakajima into the match and it was over. But however, Hideki and Sugiura had to be confronted by their own team. I'm talking about Wagner and Dupree. Now, for those who don't know this, Dupree and Wagner, prior before the pandemic, they were the GHC Tag Team Champions. However, they did not lose them. They had to relinquish the titles due because of the pandemic, and they couldn't continue on. So now they want to reclaim what they did not lose. And of course, Suzuki and Sugiura said yes. They don't have a problem with it, and that's what it is about them. They don't have a lack of fighting against each other, which is going to be good. Now, our main event is the GHC Heavyweight Championship, that it was vacant by Hayuki Fujita. So basically, we had Kato Kiyomiya who wants a shot to become champion. However, the one person he had to go through is the previous champion, Go Shiozaki. So it was another great match. I mean, Kiyomiya, he is destined for greatness. He hasn't won this title. He was close on various occasions. But did he have what it takes now to become champion? I have to say, Go Shiozaki did everything in his power to ensure he won again. He lost the title to Nakajima, but now he has an opportunity to regain and become Noah once again, and that's exactly what he did. He pinned Kiyomiya, and it was over. However, in the post match, he was visited by Satoshi Kojima, saying that he is next for a shot of the GHC Heavyweight Championship. So I have to say, Majestic was great. I enjoyed every match that they had. It was unbelievably good. So I will follow the other ones, but right now let's go with AEW. Okay, our last review is AEW Dark Elevation. We have only 5 matches, so I'm okay with the idea, but let's get to them. First one is Dark Order, consisting of Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, Alan Five Angels, and 10. Taking on, of course, some local boys or independent wrestlers like Ryan Mooney, Diego, Josh Fuller, and Brandon Scott. Now, in this type of scenario that is the Dark Order that's gonna walk out. So it was a pretty interesting match. Now, however, I feel like a little like, how do I put this? Like, Dark Order's not the same without Stu, but I'm sure they'll do good without him involved. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying this could be a good thing for them. Maybe learn how to do things without him. But it was Evil Uno who might have picked up the victory on when he applied a power bomb on, I don't know which with who, and giving the victory to the Dark Order. Next up, we got the Queen, Emi Sakura, taking on the Living Dead Girl, Abaddon. Now, oh my God! Now I can tell Emi really is trying to be on her level, but when it comes to Abaddon, she's gonna bite the hell out of you, and that's what she does. And I know this is not the first time they ever confronted her, but I have to say it was interesting. But it was her Abaddon's unorthodox moves that gave her the much better edge to pick up a good, strong victory. So, but she did put on Twitter that she wants May Saruga. I'm like, oh, May, you better not come back. Now, our next match, we have Peter Avalon along with Ryan Meneth taking on Sunny Kiss. Man, it's been a while since we've seen Sunny Kiss. I have to say, Sunny has developed more better than ever, giving a much better attitude and a much better, uh, how do I say, how to present himself in the match. And I thought it was great, seeing that. But I'm like impressed. But it was Sunny Kiss who walked out as a victor in this particular match when he pinned Peter Avalon and 1, 2, 3. That is it. Now our next match, we got Johnny Hunging taking on Tony Deppen. You may know him from GCW, but no one's gonna say that much. But I have to say, Johnny Hunging, John Silver, is one of the most popular wrestlers in the Dark Order and in AEW. But it was the Spin Doctor that gave him the much better win in order to pick up the W. Now our last match, we got the Factory, consists of Nick Camarado and QT Marshall, and of course that Weasel, Aaron Solo's right there, taking on whose house? Swerve's house. That's right, Swerve Strickland versus, and of course, Limitless Keith Lee. I have to say, fun match. Great match. It did show how much chemistry Swerve and Keith Lee are in together. I know some people say they're probably better off as singles competitor. I mean, they can do both, tag and be singles. But it was the power of Keith Lee to put away Nick Camarado to give him and Swerve the much bigger W in theirs. So I have to say I'm happy with the matches. It was okay, even though it was short. I enjoyed it. So I think that's pretty much it what we got. So let's talk about the news updates. Okay, here are some news updates. Now, I don't know how some of you would feel, but this one just came out. As you know, I followed a brand new promotion created by Acticus Kogler from 440, who made appearances in GCW. Now, they just recently had 2 or 3 events, but one of their much recent events that's taking place in June, later on this month of May, has resurfaced, where Zachary Wentz, formerly known as Nash Carter, will be making his appearance. Now, I don't know how you guys would feel about that because recently I just saw on Twitter there are those who are not happy that he's there, there are those who are. Now, I'm not here to take sides. Everybody is entitled to opinion. Now, a lot of people say that maybe Kimberly might have been falsifying the whole thing. I don't know. But um, I don't know how he'll do now in the independents. I mean, we know he had a big was on the hype of his career in WWE, but however that was ruined. But I would like to see how he would do. I mean, I know there's certain wrestlers today that were part of the speaking about me. Their careers will never be the same. You look at guys like I hate to mention his name, Joey Ryan, David Starr, Travis Banks. Recently, I just saw him. He did a show in Mexico. Um, I just saw recently he was going to be somewhere else, but yeah, it was kind of strange. Even Marty Skrull, same thing. But I don't know how this one's going to be. I don't know how you feel, but everybody has an Italian feeling about what Zachary went to, what he did. But we'll just wait and see what happens. Now, final update. This one was coming from Pro Wrestling Noah. It was announced that on June 16 in Cyberfight, there's going to be a surprise wrestler coming in, and he's a former WWE superstar. ECW, Impact. I'm talking about Rob Van Dam. Yes, he is heading to Japan for Pro Wrestling Noah. I can't wait to see it. Now, the Cyber Fight takes place in June 12th. It's where we have the collaboration of not only Pro Wrestling Noah, but DDT, Tokyoshi Pro, and Gambari Pro. I'm excited. I just told many of my friends about it. No response yet, but I'm sure they're going to be hyped to see that, or probably they'll tell me how to watch it. But hopefully, you guys will, if you guys want to watch that, either you can subscribe for the Wrestle Universe. Right now, there's a 2 week free trial, and then you have to pay like close to less uh, uh, 900 yen. That's about maybe less than $9 or so. I'm not sure, but yeah. But if you want to watch it on the watchprowrestling.live, you can do that too. That's free. You can enjoy that, but it's your choice. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys, me reviewing all this. Um, I did enjoy watching XPW with Killafornia. Hopefully, there's more I can watch. I still got more on 2 days of Pro Wrestling Noah with Dream On. Um, Exciting stuff on those particular days. And of course, we will continue with AEW. But however, coming up, we have Wrestling Revolver with Swerve's House that also took place back in April on the 16th. And of course, since it's going to be Tuesday, we have NWA Power, AEW Dark, and NXT 2.0. So I'm excited for what I'm about to review and everything else. And then on, we'll move forward from there. But right now, I say it's time for me to say adieu. So I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.